All right, now we are. Hello, say hello to your audience, Cole.
Hi.
You're silly.
I was trying to hide, but Mommy pushed me in too late.
Well, you know, people got stuff to do, I think, so we're going for it. Well, hello. Happy Monday? Monday.
Happy Monday.
Sure, I'm not the only one who can't figure out what day it is. So today, Cole and I are doing, what'd you call it?
Chalk painting.
Chalk painting. I called it paper, like, colorizing or customizing or something like that. Because I think I'm going to try to show you two techniques. One of them I have not done before because I didn't have the supplies really. So we're going to give it a shot. But the first one I'm going to show you, which is one that Cole mentioned, is chalk painting. And it's probably different than what you're thinking. So we're going to give it a go. And it's super easy. Again, a lot of what I've been showing you guys is process-based art. Things that you can do and have at home. Right, with things that you already have and can easily do at home. This is super easy. I'm going to show you some examples. I think I posted one of them yesterday. But what I love about this is, for me personally, when you have this kind of cool backgrounds of customized paper, is it truly, for me as an illustrator or a painter, it becomes a background and you can paint and draw right over the top of it. It just becomes basically your paper that you may yourself have paid a lot of money for in an art store to get something that's kind of cool, other than just, you know, plain white paper. So we're going to take plain white paper and we're going to do something like this to it. Okay. This was a very simple, a simple one. But what I love about it is you could take this and you could then cut it up into pieces. You could cut it up into like cards and write on the back. That's what's really fun about it. You can make like bookmarks out of it. A lot of things you could do with this, things that you would do with the scrapbooking paper that you buy at the art store. This was the other one that I did yesterday. This one I actually think turned out a lot better. And this is on regular printer paper. This one was on watercolor paper. We're going to try both of them. Cole is going to try both papers and give it a shot, but I think this one is just really cool. And again, think about how if you could use it as something that you could like draw on, or you could cut it up and do something else with it. So that's what we're going to do. That is the chalk one. I'm going to do another one with you that that is a similar, it's also process art. But we're going to do it just a slightly different material. Okay. So if Cole's done making goofy faces at everybody, we will get started. So, if you saw the post that I, added yesterday, it gave you the supply list that you needed. And, I'll go over it really quickly again. You need water. You'll need a tray of some kind. I have multiple kinds of trays. You could use a lid of something. You could even use a cookie sheet if it's got a little bit higher of an edge. This is a paint palette tray. This will work. This is what I was using. I thought what Cole would want to use, but he wants to use this big one. Anything that's got just a little bit of depth to it. Doesn't need to be a lot of depth. You don't want to use like a bowl or anything unless your paper is round, because otherwise some of the edges will stick out. So square, rectangular, whatever size your paper is, shape your paper is, you want to go with something like that. So Cole is just using one of these cheapo dollar store aluminum things, and I'm gonna hold on a second, move your hand. Hoping that's gonna work. Okay. You need chalk. Do you want to show them the colors that you picked?
So I picked black.
Maybe.
I know it looks like gray.
It's really Mom picked black, isn't it?
Black, purple, yellow, red, and green.
So chalk, when you're choosing chalk for this, as you can imagine, you're going on probably white paper. So you want as bright a colors as you can get. The kind of soft pastel traditional chalk is probably not going to do a whole lot. You will get some, right, because it is on top of white.
Yeah.
You will get some. However, the brighter the colors, the brighter the outcome, okay? We got this actually yesterday. We have a ton of chalk, ton. And I'm sure a lot of you have chalk. I think it was one of those things like toilet paper that sold out really, really quickly. A lot of people have chalk because they're drawn on their sidewalks, right? Cole's grandparents gave this to him yesterday, and we have probably 3 times this much already because, well, I don't know. I have a 5-year-old, so I have chalk.
Yeah.
But they gave it to us yesterday, so I thought, well, these have a lot of really, really bright colors. You can see actually all the different colors that are in it. So we're going to use this. What's really good about this is these are square, as Cole was showing you. These are square ones, so they actually are really nice. You can hold them pretty easily. But we're going to use those. Okay? Are you changing your mind on colors, or are you just getting distracted? Okay. So stick with me here. The other thing that you'll need is like a plastic knife, or I was using a popsicle stick. But a plastic knife will work also. You could even get really fancy like I was using. This is metal, which is a palette knife, because I have these around. But popsicle stick will work as well. We tested it out with Cole. He can probably do it pretty easily. He just has to give a little bit more muscle. You're welcome to try this if we decide that you're not able to. It's not going to hurt you. Okay. And then you need paper. Okay. So I have a couple kinds of paper here. White cardstock, regular printer paper, and just because Cole wants to try it, watercolor paper. So this is probably the thicker, the one that'll hold the water as I would say the most. Okay. What's also really nice to have on hand, optional, as I say. Okay, maybe don't do it right now. Sure, don't start without me. This is a messy process. So as you can kind of see here, if I pull this down, we put something protective down because it's going to get messy. You're going to have chalk everywhere, and you're dealing with water, and you're taking something out of water and transferring it. It's probably a really good idea to have a drying rack or someplace that you can lay the paper immediately, right? So I have an actual drying rack that I use for my paintings, especially when I'm doing my paint pours, because they drip a lot. So I have a whole bunch of them. Actually, they are they're that metal and wire closet shelves. I have a whole bunch of them. So that's what I use for my drying rack. But you want something to put them on. Okay, and then I would suggest having paper towels or a towel or something around, just because, again, you are going to get wet. When I did this last time for about 2 days, my fingers were the color of the chalk, the water. So chalk doesn't stain. It will come out, but it will stain your fingers for a couple days. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So now can we move your stuff all out of the way because you messed up your workspace here, bro? Come on. One thing about being an artist is you got to understand your workspace has to be ready to go. Where are you going?
I'm taking this off.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I think I'm a little too high.
I can move your chair, honey. Always makes me so nervous when he gets up and down on his chair. All right, quickly. Come on.
Sorry, everyone.
All right. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, I'm going to put the, okay, now you're crashing into me. I'm going to put this down so that you can see what we're doing and see our hands. All right. A little bit more. All right. Let's do it like this, maybe. All right, so now that you've bent this, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pour some water in. Go ahead and pour some water in there. It's heavy, and pour it slowly. There you go, a little bit more than that. So all you really want is you want to be able to fill.
Yay, I'm pouring water. Let's see about this.
All right, okay. Let go. Thank you. Okay, stop. It's like that because you dented it. That's all. I'm going to try to get it not so dented for you. If you have a tray that's not aluminum foil, you should be okay. Okay, so you can see that there's not that much water in there. You really just want enough so that it actually fills up the whole area. In fact, probably need, because this is dented, I'm just going to add a little bit more.
Yay.
Now you need to be careful because this is right at the edge for you, okay? I'm going to lift these edges up for you so that you don't spill it, really. Okay?
I'm a spiller.
You are a spiller. Okay. So literally the process is this. Clean water goes in here. Chalk, you choose, you scrape, 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 move it all around. Do not swish it, as tempted as you might be. Do not swish it around or swirl it. You might see me do one quick swirl at the end just to give it a little bit of that marble. But the more you mix it, the more the chalk is going to fall down to the bottom of the tray. If it falls to the bottom of the tray, it won't stick to the water. So you want to shave, 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 and then with every color that you want. And then when you're ready, you take the piece of paper and you put the piece of paper, lay it down flat, and you leave it there for a little bit of a time, and then you take it out, and that's it. That's the entire process, okay? So next, after you've put the water in there, you want to use this or this? Okay. You grab your sticks. Oops, forgot to turn my phone off. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to stand behind you just so that I can kind of help you with it a little bit and so everybody can kind of see what we're doing, okay? So hold it nice and tight, and I'm going to bring you a little bit closer to the camera so that people can see, okay? So we want to scrape like this and just keep going.
Ow, ow, ow.
All right. There you go. And you just keep on scraping, don't stop. Okay, turn it now. When you get to the, you want to get to the edge. I'm going to have you try this just because your little hands might not have enough power. Hold on to the handle. There we go. See, that scrapes a little bit better for you. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down just a little bit more. You're just tapping. You want to scrape. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry about that. All right. So I'm just going to help you, and we're going to do it a little bit faster. Don't drop the chalk, though. We're going to do a little bit faster because what happens is after a certain amount of time, let's flip the chalk around. After a certain amount of time, the chalk will start to fall, like I said, to the bottom. So we want to just keep on scraping and then switch colors when we think we're ready. Ready to switch colors yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Which color next?
Red, of course.
Okay, grab that. Ready? Let's do it a little bit closer so we can get the color variation. Turn this stick a little bit. There we go. It's kind of about twisting your wrist a little. Can you hold your wrist more like this? Like this? There we go. And now scrape with this edge. There we go. Okay, you keep doing that. I'll do the other colors. Can I just pick colors? Do you want to use this? Is this easier to hold?
Yeah.
Okay. It just doesn't scrape as easily. So I'll do this. I would suggest when you're picking colors, you know, try to get a good variance, right? If you get all dark colors, even though we might all like dark colors, if you get all dark colors, they might kind of mush together and you won't get a cool marbling variation going. Okay. You want me to do a little bit more red and you move on to a different color? Okay. I know you like red, so I definitely want to get enough red in there. And if you can see, I'm not doing it all in one spot. I'm trying to kind of sprinkle it around in different areas. That'll give it the kind of cool variety. A little bit more green. I don't think we got enough green. All right, can we do yellow? All right, so apparently this is a little harder for Cole than I thought it was gonna be. He tried it and it seemed to be okay, but really, I know I have a little bit more muscle when it comes to this than you do. All right, and then you just decide on how much black you want. Here.
A little bit more.
A little bit more? All right, I'll do this perfect with you. There we go. Now we're getting some. All right, I'm going to do some at the top since you can't reach. Because, see, you are a little bit short now. All right, you ready for the fun part?
Yay!
All right, any other colors you want to add before we go?
No.
Let's do a little bit more red. The red kind of sunk because we took a while. You chose a lot of colors. All right, so what color? Do you want regular paper or watercolor paper? Regular?
Regular.
Okay, so now Cole's just going to two hands. And you're going to lay it down flat. Just drop it right in there. Yeah, just let it go. Okay, and then you're going to see that it's going to soak up. Now, generally, it depends on the thickness of the paper, okay, of how long you keep it in there for. This is really thin paper, so we don't need to keep it in there for very long. I'm probably going to leave it in there for another 20 seconds or so. Watercolor paper, I would leave it in there for at least a minute. because the watercolor paper has ridges, so you want it to get like into those ridges, right? The difference between these two, watercolor, pretty dark colors, lighter colors, regular paper. This was only in there for about 30 seconds. This was only for about 30 seconds. I think if I would have left this longer, it would have been a little bit darker. Okay, so now what we do, Cole, let's get my phone out of the way so we're not dripping all over it, is we peel it up and we let it, so let's peel it towards the camera so they can kind of see it. All right, grab that side. Grab, no, where my finger is. There you go. Now you hold it up while I bring the camera up a little bit.
Looks awesome.
And there you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to take it from him and I'm going to move it over here to our drying rack.
Can we try another one?
We can. So what I want to show everybody is down here, you can see that a lot of the, see if I stick that in there, you can see that the chalk has now settled into the bottom. You can keep going with this, but right now most of the chalk has now, the chalk that was sitting on the top has been transferred over to the paper. All the other chalk has now been pushed towards the bottom. So if you put another piece of paper on here, you're probably not going to get as dark as that. But you can now add more. What did you just do is the color of the water will take on a slight change, right? The color will slightly change. I think we have a leak in our tray here. I'm gonna start dripping on you here. So what I would suggest then is to either change the water out completely or just shave more in there and then put another piece of paper in there. Do you want to shave more? Okay. I don't know if maybe you spilled or if we have a leak. It seems like the water is still in there, so it doesn't seem to be a big deal.
I think I spilled.
Okay. Do you want me to help you with a couple of them? And then we'll move on to the oil one?
Sure.
Okay. What colors?
Black, all of them.
All of them? Okay. We got to do it quicker this time, though, okay? Because we don't want it to go down into the bottom of the...
I think you might.
I know. It's a little trickier. I thought it was going to be a lot easier for you, actually. Right.
But it's easier for me.
I know. Well, done it a lot, and I think I have a little bit more muscles than you. I thought you were super strong. No, you are super strong. I thought you were stronger. All right. Put a little bit of yellow on top. I usually finish with the lighter color.
What's the lightest?
Well, because the first color you do is the first color that's going to sink to the bottom. Regular paper again, or cardstock?
Cardstock.
Okay, ready? Go ahead. All right, so this is thicker paper, so I'm going to say let that go for a little bit. I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute. And what I'm going to do is while we let that sit there for a minute is I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the area, out of your way here. And we're going to try to do the oil one. I've not done the oil one. So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to see what happens.
I think it'll be so cool.
You do?
Yeah.
All right. So you see how the thicker the paper is, the more it's going to curl up. I just usually push it down like that. And then you can always take a little peek. Let's let them peek here. Okay, what do you think?
Pretty good.
Okay. That is really cool. When it dries, it'll dry really, really, really cool. The black turned like a grayish, kind of interesting. So I'm just going to lay it on the rack over here. All right. I'm going to put something underneath this one because I don't want it to... Okay, I don't like this thing, so I'm actually going to use this. I know you did, but I thought it looked kind of weird. So I'm going to put this on top of this because I don't really want those weird lines. See how I'm getting those lines? Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way because I'm not sure if there's a leak. I don't know if it's a leak or if you did that by spilling. You think? Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a different tray for this. Okay. And we are going to, if you could do me a favor and pour water in that Okay. Good. Okay.
So.
All right. Pick a color, Cole. Brown, purple, hot pink, or yellow. Pick one. This color or this color? Okay, we can probably do both also. All right, so all I'm putting in this is you could use food coloring if you want. Oh, these must be clogged. Okay, I'm just gonna pour it a little bit. You could use food coloring or liquid watercolors. Regular watercolor, you just want them to be really, 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 want to mix both? Want to mix the two? Ooh. You just want the water to be pretty saturated. Where's your stick? Give that a swirl. A little bit of swirl, not too much. You want it to be just really pretty saturated if you could. Okay, that's probably good. And then what we're gonna do is I just have regular oil. Regular kitchen oil, okay? What I'm gonna do, I've put a little bit of oil into a cup because you don't need very much. If you have a dropper, an eyedropper, or what's called a pipette, right? One of these little things, hang on a second. One of these, it works best, especially for these little grabby hands right here, okay? Because you don't want a lot. If you get a lot, you'll get really big bubbles of, or separation of oil. So what we're doing is we're playing on the fact that oil and water don't mix. So I'm gonna do the first one just so they can see. I'm gonna get some oil into my pipette and I'm just going to very gently, watch how my thumb just very gently squeezes.
Gently.
And I'm just dropping a few little drops in there, okay? So you're gonna do that. So remember, to get some, you squeeze it first. Okay, and then drop some in there, and we're just gonna see what happens. You kind of want the oil to separate from the water. And then we'll see what happens. I've never used kitchen oil for this. I've used different kinds of oil like the silicone oil and things like that. And so we're just gonna kind of see what happens. You can kind of start to see where those bubbles are already forming. All right, let me do a little bit more. Squeeze. All right. All right, so now let's see. I wonder what's gonna happen if I stirred it around. Not a whole lot. Let's just see what happens when we put this paper down. Go ahead. Drop it in there.
No, I can't.
And again, we'll let it kind of go for a little bit of time.
Ooh, that one is a little bit dottier.
I bet that's
the bubble.
The bubbles coming from what?
The oil.
The oil, probably?
The oil probably. Or it could just be the regular one. Ooh.
Ooh, there's a sneak peek of what the water looks like. Woo, pretty.
Ooh, pretty. Whoa,
Okay.
I got some purple.
So I think that we might have put too much watercolor in here because the oil, gosh, are you sure there wasn't a leak? Because if we peek real quick, the oil, see how I did a little bit? We'll show them in a second. I'm gonna let it go for just a minute longer. Food coloring may work better than the liquid watercolor. Cole, seriously? Than the liquid watercolors, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so let's take a peek.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't do much, but you can see, I think we did too much water versus oil. So I think Cole and I just need to play around with how much water and how much oil. You can see the little bit of separation there. However, though, the marbleization is really, really, really pretty. It's probably not very easy to see here, and you can start to see that the oil spots are starting to grow a little. They're gonna grow a tiny bit. But I'm just gonna put that over there on our drying rack and cool, be done with it. Now we have a lot of this left here. There's a lot of things you could do. In fact, I can see that the oil is actually separating a little bit more. So that tells me that I probably put too much water in with relation to oil, that you can see the spots a little bit more. Let's see what happens if we put a little bit more oil in there.
I want to do it.
Okay.
Is that red?
It's like a magenta.
Magenta.
All right. So now let's try to do, you added more oil, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's try to do, this is going to be too big of a piece of paper for that tray. I didn't cut any more. Let's do, this is watercolor. Why don't we do a watercolor one? All right, go ahead and stick that in there and see what happens. That's all right. Well, we'll just cut that edge off. No big deal.
No big and giant deal. Let's take a pic of it. Whoa! Well, magenta.
I'm gonna,
oh, look at that!
oh, that's pretty. Put that down and we'll get it a little bit more saturated. I'm gonna, while we're waiting for that, I'm gonna show everybody the little bit sort of dried versions of what these look like. So here is the first one that we did. Hang on a second. This is the first one we did that's been just sitting on the drying rack for a little while.
Wow.
Now, I noticed that since I put it on the regular thin paper on the drying rack, this was the second one, same color, but the second pull onto cardstock. Second pull onto cardstock. I noticed that my drying rack was making little rack marks. So I actually put something underneath it. Hopefully that will solve that problem. All right, let's give this a shot. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happened.
Oh, that's really pretty.
Let me see.
So see, that edge right there didn't get in there, but that's really pretty. Very beautiful colors. What do you think?
Crazy.
Really cool. All right, so
Beautiful.
All right. So that is basically it. Cole and I have a lot of water here. We're probably going to keep on playing, maybe make some cards or something. But that's basically the whole process. And I think the chalk one went a little bit better. Probably because I've done it a whole bunch of times before. The oil one, not. But it's pretty much the same process. So pretty. I'm going to get some really pretty paper out of it. When they dry, I will post pictures because obviously anytime anything, especially with watercolors, anytime it dries, it's going to dry a little bit more intense. But that's it. There you have it.
No, I don't want to leave. I miss all of you.
Aw. I'm sure they miss you too, buddy.
I want to play.
I know.
My friends
I know.
in California and here and everywhere else.
I know.
Needed fun.
I know. But let's let them go try this and play with it while we finish things up here. And yeah. And so that's it.
Hey,
okay. And hopefully we will see you Wednesday for an Earth Day activity. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
I'll give you a clue. It's about some pans and trash.
It is? Oh, I thought that was something else. But anyway, okay. Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.